So the truth about leather saddles, I mentioned it a bit in the update video where I mentioned 4 updates that I made on my website, and I want to go over them and put this video out so that people can find it, because there's a lot of misconceptions, but also some other issues that I think why people don't think things through. First, leather thickness and longevity of Brooks saddles was better in the past. And this is just not true in my experience. And I've tested just about all Brooks saddles from 2006, I think it was 2005, 2006 to 2011 or so, perhaps 2010. So the saddles I tried, let's see here. This is just, B66 Champion, which is an old one, but I also have some newer ones. The oldest one is, I think, from the 60s, from the rear plates. Then the Flyer and Flyer Aged. I used the B17, B17 Special, B17 Titanium. I used them all, the Selects as well. And the Swallow Titanium. The Team Professional in both titanium and normal versions. The B17 Narrow, the Swift in, I think the normal version I used. And the Conqueror I used, was it the Conqueror of the Conquest? The Conqueror was the version, I think, with the standard rivets, and the Conquest with the hammered copper rivets. Let's check. B17 Imperial, the Narrow Imperial, the Colts. Then, of course, the Sella Anatomica Titanico. Then the H2. Recently, the Voyager, the Lounger from Leopard, the Tourer. I wanted to test, but it's not available anymore. And Leopard was bought out first by a conglomerate of bicycle companies here in the Netherlands, and then they decided to just quit. It was weird. Of course, I also did a lot of modifications. Flyer H with Imperial modification doesn't work. Sella Anatomica laced removes the nice ride from Sella Anatomica, but it keeps the slots better. Swallow Imperial, Team Professional Swallow, Team Professional Swallow Imperial, Team Professional Imperial. An oval cutout doesn't really matter much if you use an oval cutout or the cutout from the S Brooks Maiden. Then a Y long cutout, B68S lacing it, Swift lacing it. I tried a lot. And this is just the undercarriage changing, the B66, and putting a carriage on it from the Flyer Aged or from a B67 is also possible. The B17 Titanium stretched. I showed that in some videos. So here I will show some pictures. So the B68 and the B67 has springs. I don't really like the modern springs, they're too heavy, too stiff. This is the 60s B66 Champion. I think it's 60s because, and I know it has to be older than about 75, which fits. I think it should be 65 to 75 is what I read somewhere on a website, this badge. This deteriorated quickly when letting it outside too much in the rain. This one also, by the way, this is what I'm using now, but it does not look as nicely as it looks now, or as nice as it looks now, I mean. You see some lines in it. It was well oiled, but still it deteriorated quickly when leaving it out in the rain too long. So that's an issue. I will come back to that with these misconceptions. So the Flyer, the B17 Special, has this area. It's chamfered, so it's to make you feel the saddle less. I don't really notice it's normal or chamfered. The B17 Select, I also used that. Yeah, I use them all. Team Professional has this chamfering. Also, the B17 Narrow doesn't have it. The Swifts, that's the only Brook saddle I couldn't get along with. The Conqueror and the Conquests. Yeah, the Conquest has the large copper rivets. I prefer these standard rivets. Then if you want, you can drill them out and replace them with bolts. Much easier. With copper rivets, that'll be more difficult, and the leather has been deformed a bit there in that region. The Imperial, yeah, that's important, this review, because this saddle was the best saddle ever. So it is got a bit narrower after a few years of use. 8,000 kilometers, I think I used it. But other than that, it was absolutely perfect. And I used it, I left it outside in the rain a lot to test on my bike with all the other components that I used to test, leave it outside in the rain. So this is a saddle from 2008, and it was just did not care about rain. It was always perfect condition. Yeah, it's a shame that it was on my bike that was stolen. B17 Narrow Imperial, the Colt, which is, yeah, I don't really see the point of this one. It is okay, but not really something I see the point of in being better than any other saddle for any specific purpose. So the Sella Anatomica, the problem with this, that the slot became too narrow. Sella Anatomica H2 that I've been using in Poland and Ukraine is quite okay, but not that great for slower riding. It's just a bit too narrow. So that was actually the wrong area to test it, although it was tested quite well for getting damp, because I was riding in 37 to 38 Celsius at the start, and in most days it was 30 plus. The Leopard Voyager in two versions, thinner leather, thicker leather. Let's see, Leopard Lounger, I don't like this one either. This has a sort of foam layer on top, but it kept the also water inside. So if it got wet, then it would stay really cold for a long time when riding. And in winter, I felt something else, namely if it was not wet, then I would ride on it and my bottom would become too hot. Same effect that you can get with gel saddles. So Gilbert 2 Aspin, yes, it's a pretty good saddle, but I would really like to try this one, the Obese Cordovar, which is 18 centimeters wide, so a little bit wider than the B17. That could be the perfect saddle for slower touring, such as what I'm doing or was doing in Ukraine and Poland. Recommended saddles, favorite saddles. Okay, back to here are all the modifications that I tried. You can have a look at on my website if you're interested in leather saddles. There's a lot of information on maintenance and other things. Misconceptions, back to the misconceptions. So I wanted to tell a few things. You can read the details here on my website, but I used a lot of saddles from the 60s, 80s, 90s, and today, which was 2008, actually 2005, thereabouts. I think it was then that I started with a what was it? With a Swallow on my on my road bike. It was not really a road bike. It was more like what you'd call now a gravel bike with 35mm tires with knobblies on it, and so it's and sometimes other times I used road bike tires, 23mm tires, but yeah, I was riding fast with it, and I thought I'd try for various reasons. I tell a bit about it on my websites. A Swallow, and it was okay. And from then I tried others, such as the B17 Titanium, and then I went on testing everything, or almost everything. So issues. Older saddles are better than newer saddles, is what you read quite a few places. But these are not really true in my experience. And note that I have examined in leather thickness, for example, hundreds of Brooks saddles from the era from about 2008 to 2000, perhaps 2012, 11, 12 or so. And I used quite a few saddles, new and second hand. I have ridden with loads of them. And I do not see, as I mentioned, that one saddle which is old from the 60s, which was this one, deteriorated rapidly when leaving it out in the rain. And this one is from the 90s, 1991, according to the seller. Also had the same issue. So it was not true that much older saddles are a lot better. Let's see, what else? So there are some issues with people claiming things which just, from my experience, are not true. And the saddle was thicker before, for example, is also a claim that you can read here and there in older saddles, which is not true. Not with the 60s saddles, not with the 90s saddle. I've tried a lot. I've had various 60s saddles. Not true. There are some issues with from which part of the hide the leather is cut for certain types of saddles, and Brooks do use specific parts for specific saddles, which you can see, for example, or which I could see from the Team Professional, which are modified, and I found that cutting the leather from a Team Professional is much harder than from a B17. This is also, so this saddle seems to be from a part which is just harder and which seems to last longer, because the Team Pro is known for that reason, that it breaks in, it takes much longer to break in, and it lasts longer than B17. Yeah, B17 Champion Special has thicker leather. No, that's not true. It's just made with the chamfering that I showed and the copper rivets, the hammered copper rivets, and that's it. Not thicker leather. It's not selected especially. Brooks Fly Special is a new version of the Conquest. Also not true. It's just a different saddle. This is 16 centimeters wide. This is about 17 and a half. The Flyer Special, same as the B17. Color of the leather is only on top, or it will wear off. That's actually what I don't know where I wrote this, because that's not true. Someone stated, I read it somewhere, that yeah, the color will wear off. That's not true. From what I showed it on my website here as well, that the leather is through and through black on one saddle. Let's see if I can find it quickly. Yeah, it's so much stuff on my website. Yeah, here you can see that it's black. Oh, yeah, here in the middle it's a bit light, but you don't wear to there, and it does not soak out entirely. Color does soak out, as you can see here. This is from Gilbert 2 Mud Flap, but it's the same with the saddles. Even the honey saddles from Brooks, they give off color, but the black as well. All colors give off. So the color will. Where go back? No, wait a minute. Yeah, here. Go too far. The setter will go with. You will lose a little bit of color, but that is only a little bit, and you don't really notice it. I've never noticed it with any color. The saddles I use, that they suddenly become standard leather color, like honey. Honey is more like the natural color. It's not quite natural, the standard, the actual color of the leather, but it is colored, as you can see from the putting the saddle in the tub, in the water or something, and then you see the color coming off. So the color comes off, and you can, that goes into your pants or cycling trousers, or you can get, if you wear beige trousers, then the color can go into that, so that you need to be careful with that, with leather saddles. But saddle really wearing off? No, that's not true. I did see some saddles where it appeared that only one side had been colored, so probably it was not in a bath, but it had been like painted or something. And maybe in that case it can happen. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. What was it? Breaking of leather of the rails of the Brooks saddles. Yeah, that's also something interesting. So Brooks said, for example, about the springs, that they wanted to increase them, but they didn't really state the exact reason why. Because if they break, if they were usable in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, why suddenly in around 1999 would they have to be increased in thickness? So they were stiffer. And perhaps it has to do with people getting heavier and exercising not enough, walking not enough, and being overweight. I don't know. And this could also be an issue here, that the rails break more. But I think Brooks should just go to a system just like Sella Anatomica, just like Gilbert to make it repairable, so you can change the rails, and all this is not a problem. But if the rails now break on a saddle with springs, then you're okay. But if that's fairly easy to change. But if it breaks on a not unsprung saddle here, like, let's see, show the bottom side, then you're in a world of trouble. You can get the carriage. I've not got a bottom. Yeah, I need to have a picture where I'm overlooking it. Well, anyway, I'll show you here. If it breaks, then it breaks here on this sprung saddle, and you can just replace this section. It's very easy. With a non-sprung saddle, you need to remove all these rivets, and here, so, and then put in new section here. The nose section not necessary, so only this, but it's a lot of rivets, and then you need to put in new rivets. So you need to drill out first the old rivets, and then either hammer the new rivets or use bolts, perhaps. A lot of work. They should just go to a Gilbert 2 type system or Sella Anatomica. For the price that Brooks asks these days, that should be possible. Anyway, that was an overview of issues and misconceptions with leather saddles, plus an overview of my webpage in general. Maybe you will find it interesting. That's it for now. Bye.